Years ago, I worked for a big tech company. I won't name them, but it rhymes with Boogle. Anyway, the job was account manager for the company's advertisers, and we were all trained by doing customer support first. Literally, thank you for calling Google AdWords. How can I help you? Now, around that time in the company's history, they didn't have a full-time staff to also run support, so account managers would start there, then graduate from the phones onto their real jobs, and a new batch would come in and man the phones behind them. But that required the company to keep hiring new account managers, and in my time there, they actually had to lay some people off for the very first time ever, so we were stuck on the phones, miserable, because that's not the job we took. So I ran an experiment in the throes of my misery. We were part of this team called the Online Sales Organization, or OSO. And they would throw all these BS experiments and things we could try and keep all these miserable people engaged. And they used the name Oh So Big Experiments. So I decided I'm going to run an experiment of my own here. How little time could I actually be logged into our phone system but not take any calls? You see, you'd be in the queue available to customers, and then after you finish your call, you'd have 30 seconds to jump out of the queue, write a ticket on their profile, and then jump back in and take your next call. And they wanted to see an average of only 30 seconds out of the queue. So I realized, well, averages. I could take all these big blocks of time off just twiddling my thumbs, and then take a bunch of really short breaks, like fractions of a second, and it would average out. I'd only have to take a few calls all week long, and I called that experiment Oh So Small Experiments. And it worked. I got promoted. Eventually, it caught on with a few friends, and I decided to wind down that experiment. And a couple years later, I quit the company. And the head of the office in my exit interview said to me, "Jay, just make sure the next job is the job for you, because you only get to use your Google story once." I actually got hired to keynote an event for career acceleration 10 years later, and they were like, "Hey Jay, for your talk, we really love these ideas. Do you have any stories about being miserable at work and all the weird things you do when you're miserable at a job?"